It's going to be a video about the HPI rs4 Sport 3. It's HPI's newest electric RTR 1/10 touring car. I'm going to go over a few pros and cons about this particular chassis and my thoughts on it. What I like about this car is the way it looks. HPI, I think, did a really good job with the bodies for this car. As of right now, they offer this BMW E30 M3, a Subaru BRZ, which is the drift version, and a Porsche 911, which is the Flux brushless touring version. Body seems well proportioned, doesn't look really unbalanced or odd or toyish sort of thing. That leads me to my first con about it. This body, I don't know about the Porsche or the BRZ, but this M3 body is very, very weak. It's a very thin Lexan. It's much more flexible than most of my other RC bodies. And it cracks too, actually. I don't know if you could see this. I have a crack forming on my front bumper, and that's from only hitting a barrier kind of hard once. My buddy also has this M3 chassis, and his whole front segment is pretty much gone, actually, from a couple head-on collisions. So it cracks, and it's very thin, and I assume that if I hit something else really hard, the other side's going to start to crack and just going to come apart. With the body off, you could see the basic layout of the chassis. It's a standard four-wheel drive shaft-driven chassis like you'd find in something like a Slash 4x4. Center shaft is fully enclosed. Every part of the drivetrain is fully enclosed, so this would probably make a good rally car. It's got a standard HPI 15-turn brush motor, just standard ESC there, brushed ESC, and it's got the jumper cables kind of deal to select between LiPo mode and forward with reverse and brake, or just forward and braking and that sort of thing. Servo, basic RTR servo. It's pretty slow. It's under this receiver box sort of thing. It's I don't know. It's an okay speed, I guess, but like I'm probably going to end up changing it out because it's a little slow for my tastes. It's connected to the steering bell crank that runs under the drive shaft, the center drive shaft, but the center drive shaft still seals. It's in its own dedicated tunnel. Yeah, the servo's okay. It's all the electronics are waterproof. Radio that comes with this thing. It's in this receiver box here. It is 2.4 gigahertz, and the receiver is in a waterproof receiver box, but the actual transmitter is just really, really cheap. It's a TF11 from HPI. I mean, it's all plastic. It's very light. It's got basic adjustments here. You have throttle and steering reverse, steering dual rate, steering throttle trims. Runs on 4 AA's, but I don't know. It's just very cheap feeling. Just doesn't seem like it's going to last. It's very uncomfortable. So it'll get you by, but I'm probably going to end up swapping that. Tires on this car are good for most outdoor surfaces, like just your road, driveway, that sort of thing. I just drove them on my indoor carpet track today. That's why they're still dirty. It's smooth carpet. It's heavily treated with traction compound, and they did really, really bad. I was just sliding all over the place. So if you're going to do any carpet racing, I'd recommend getting a new tire, because these just do not do well. But for outdoors on the street, I've driven a few times on the street. There's not too much wear on them. Seems like they should last a decent amount, and they're pretty good on the street. I wouldn't, if you're only going to drive on the street, I don't think you'd have to change them. They seem pretty decent. Battery situation on this car, I think, is definitely a lot better than most 1/10 touring cars. You just have a basic Velcro strap here to secure a pack. And with this rubber stopper, it comes from the factory mounted in the front, but you could switch it to the rear, so you can move your battery from the front to the back of the car to adjust your car with an SPC 5000 milliamp 2S hard case. So this is just a standard size 2S hard case, something you put in like a Russell or a Slash that most people recognize as a standard hard case LiPo. It fits fine in there. I'm sure you could actually fit a 7-cell nickel metal stick pack if you remove the stopper, or say like a longer 2S or maybe a 3S battery. Those would all fit. I think this has definitely a better battery situation than most 1/10 performance-wise. It feels heavier than most touring cars. I couldn't tell you if it actually is heavier. I'd assume so with the fully sealed four-wheel drive, but it feels a little heavier. With my 2S LiPo that was just in there with the battery stopper at the front, I was noticing some plow in corners. Besides that, it gets good traction. Doesn't seem like there's any real weak points in the car that would need addressing immediately. It seems like a pretty decent entry-level touring car. I have no real complaints. It's probably goes about low 20s on a 2S LiPo, low 20 mile an hour. So it's nothing fast, but it's a basic brushed vehicle. Acceleration is good, obviously with four-wheel drive. Brushed motor seems fine, good torque, decent RPMs. Obviously it's no brushless system, but it's decent. This is definitely a solid entry-level touring car. It's probably not going to win you any real races or anything, but if you're just going to drive around, against your friends, definitely a good choice. Or if you want to see if you like touring as a race class and you might want to be getting into it more professionally later, with more race spec stuff, I think this would be a good choice to kind of get your feet wet. I've had nothing break on this so far except the body that's cracking, which I'm sure is going to get a lot worse pretty soon, but nothing major has broken. It doesn't seem like anything is particularly flimsy. I'm sure it'll be durable enough long term. I've only had this car for a couple weeks now, but I don't have any real complaints besides the body and the radio. Those two, body body is swapped easily. Radio, same thing, swapped easily. But they're two annoyances that I think they really cheaped out on. But overall, I think it's definitely a decent car. There's like I said, no glaring problems with it. Seems like it should be decent long term. HPI I know is going to be releasing some hop-ups pretty soon. And yeah, I think it's a solid entry car. It's not going to handle like a racing touring car, but it's not being marketed as one. And I think it's definitely a decent buy. I'll probably be releasing a video soon comparing this with the Sprint 2, which I have. It seems like it's competitor because HPI makes both. And I guess stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.